Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for another class of the Successful Man Seminar. My name is Ariel Perets, and this class is about taking you to your highest level in every facet of your life, in your career, your relationships, raising children, and becoming happy with our place in life, and of course growing closer to God. These teachings are truly universal. You don't have to be on any spiritual or religious level to jump aboard. You can be of any religion or ethnicity to appreciate these teachings, as long as you believe that there is a creator and that he is your father who loves you and who wants you to reach your full potential in life. You're going to love these teachings. These teachings have done wonders for me. I'm not a motivational speaker by trade. I'm actually a businessman who just had the luck to chance upon the treasure of teachings that are brought down from my spiritual guide, whose these teachings are based on. My spiritual guide being Rabbi Shalom Arush, whose books have been read by millions of people all around the world, people of all religions, ethnicities. His books can be found everywhere on Amazon and other websites. Books like the Garden of Emunah, the Garden of Peace, the Garden of Gratitude, and so on. Just look up the name and pick up any of these books, and you will see that these teachings are really riveting. They really change your life if you internalize the teachings and decide to make the effort and go the distance to transform your life. Tonight we're going to focus on adding a new tool to our growing toolbox for building a successful life. This tool is so powerful that Rabbi Shalom Arush's spiritual mentor, Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, identified this tool as one that you must walk with all your life, everywhere. But before we talk about this special tool, we're going to revisit the definition of success. This class being about the successful man, we're going to talk about how success is really defined. As we know, the definition of success in conventional society is very different from the one that we're going to talk about. The true definition of success is not measured by the numbers in your bank account, the number of friends you have, the number of dates, girlfriends, boyfriends you have, the number of people we are a boss of, the number of cars, the number of houses, the number of toys that we own. Success is not measured by any number at all. The truly successful person is someone who knows and has a relationship with God. He knows that God is with him every day, at all times, in every step, every breath that he takes. He has complete faith in God that everything that happens to him is for the good. He thanks God for everything that he gets, both the good and the bad. He has complete happiness in his life. He's happy with what he has, and he doesn't feel sad or depressed about what he may not have. He has true love and complete marital peace and harmony with his wife, whom he respects. He never criticizes her, and he only has eyes for her and no other woman. He loves and is adored by his children. He spends time with them, and he helps them to bring out the best in them so that they also can become successful individuals as they grow. He treats all mankind fairly, with kindness, generosity, and he seeks to sees the best in each of them. And then he also speaks to God on a daily basis, and he makes a daily accounting of everything that he does, and he strives to improve himself and to fix the problems that he has in an honest way. The biggest enemies to success is not your parents, not your spouse, not your friend, not your boss, not an old friend, and no other external factor. It's you and your evil inclination. The evil inclination is that voice in the back of your head that is constantly challenging you to look at life in a different lens, to look at life with self-doubt, to look at life with doubt, with bitterness, sadness. The reasons we lack success is due to lacking knowledge about what are the true tools for success and having the wrong definition of success. The goal of our class and the other classes that we're going to have in the future is to shine a light on the amazing treasure of knowledge that Rabbi Shalom Arush gives us in his books. The first enemy to success is sadness, depression, and the continuous complaining and crying that many people in our world do in some measure on a daily basis, where they're just not able to be happy with what they have in their life. Sadness, depression, and all forms of hopelessness come from a lack of gratitude to God and from utter selfishness. When a person is sad, they're basically saying to God, you know, God, I'm not happy with the plan that you've created for me. In fact, God, you're not doing your job as my father, and you don't know what's best for me. Let me show you let me show you what I really need. I know better than you what I need. A sad person is blind to all the good that God gives him on a minutely basis. Every minute that we are in this world, God is bestowing kindness on us. In many cases, these are hidden kind deeds that are happening. He sustains us. He allows us to breathe. He has the life force that runs through us is all from God. The money that we have, the intellect that we have, the physical attractiveness that we have, it's all from God. Everything. Put a better example into perspective. Imagine a kid and a father. A kid whose father provides for him, puts a roof over his head, gives him money to buy toys, takes him out to movies, pays for his school, and so on, family trips and so on. Now the kid comes to his father and he says, Dad, I'm really not happy with what's going on here. And he starts listing 10 to 15 reasons why the father is failing in his role as a parent. What does a good parent do in this situation? Does a good father give this child more things? Does he listen to what the child is asking for? Definitely not. This is a spoiled child who is overcome by selfishness. The same way applies to complaining and a crying person. God simply hates sadness and bitterness. Doesn't listen to the prayer of someone who's just crying and complaining about what they don't have. That person has a great distance from God. And the more that you cry and the sadder that you get, the more sadness that comes to you. The first tool to fight man's nature to be attracted to this sadness and dissatisfaction with life was discussed previously in a previous class, but we'll review it again. The first tool is the power of saying thank you. A person who thanks God on a daily basis for every aspect of their life, for the good and the seemingly not good that looks bad but is definitely not, for the obstacles and the problem, this person gets an abundance of blessings from God. God showers this person with many more things to be thankful about. God sees such a person and says, oh, you like to thank me? I'll give you 100 more reasons to thank me. God opens all the doors and windows so that the prayers of such a person are heard. When we start living a life of gratitude, we develop a level of self-awareness where we see the hidden miracles that are happening all the time by way of God. We become much more grateful, and our happiness just grows because we can't believe just how good our life is. We start to recognize that God has been good to us all along, and even in the past when we didn't recognize it. And we start taking a self-accounting of it every day. And we thank God for all that He gives to us in our lives. We're going to discuss later what is the best approach to thank God on a daily basis, that being the practice of personal prayer, where you basically set some time let's say 10, 20, 30 minutes, and in a quiet place, it doesn't matter where it is, and you just thank God for all the things that happened to you that day. And then you do it again the next day, and you thank Him for what happened in previous 24 hours, whether it be good or bad. So I've mentioned that we also have to say thank you to God for our problems. Thank you for having debts. Thank you, God, for the sickness I have. Thank you, God, for the lawsuit that I have. Thank you, God, for the speeding ticket that I got. Thank you for getting fired from my work. Thank you for this person who shouted at me today, whoever that may be. But wait, it doesn't make sense. Why should we thank God for our problems? The reason we should thank God for our problems is because the problems and obstacles that we encounter are actually the greatest blessings that we can have in our life. These problems are designed by God for each person to steer us into the right direction that we should take in our lives so we can be on the path to success. Each person has their own set of problems, but those problems are there to awaken you, to examine yourself, to look at the problems that you need to fix, and to be honest with yourself. There is no human being that just naturally decides to fix themselves. It's these problems which are wake-up calls that lead a person to question where they're at and to seek God by praying to God to help them fix that problem. That's why we need to thank God every day we have an obstacle, because it is a clue coming from God about something that we need to change. As an example, imagine a rich guy who's made a tremendous amount of income all his life, lots of great living, and suddenly he goes through a dry spell. Suddenly the business sours, the income drops. Suddenly there's all kinds of people claiming lawsuits against him. And then he spends hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to defend these lawsuits, and he loses. Now this person got this problem probably for a very good reason. This person may have been arrogant, may have never thought to thank God for the money he made. He actually thought that he made this money because of his own talents, that it's his intelligence, it's his strategic mind, his ability to be a great deal maker that got him this money, his power, his charm. But nowhere in those talents is God. So, God in His kindness wants this person to come closer to Him, to understand that this is a very bad trait. And so, He sends him a problem in the hopes that he will have a wake-up call. And we know, of course, that it couldn't be further from the truth that such a person made this money by their own capabilities. Everything that we get in this world, including the income we earn, anything else, is a gift from God. It is an illusion that we worked for these achievements on our own. It is God who's behind the doing of it all along. We can't do anything in this world without God. The only thing we have complete free will over is our ability to desire to come closer to God. We have free choice in how much we want to pray and connect to God. We have free choice on how much gratitude we want to show God. We have free choice on the kindness we want to do to others in this world. We have free choice to come to this class and acquire knowledge and things of that nature. But when a person believes that everything that happens is of their own doing and that they are the masters of their own fate, that is when they fall to sadness. Because they're blind to seeing God behind everything that is happening in their life. The moment that something doesn't go exactly according to the plan of such a person, they become frustrated. Instead of praying to God and trying to re-examine things that they should do in their lives to improve their character traits. Instead, they feel that they need to use their own talents to fix such a problem. So in the case of such a person who lost money, the second that happens, they become arrogant, and he thinks that he alone can fix this problem. So he goes on many different business strategies to try to revive the business. He tries to do more marketing, tries to open more product lines, tries to do all kinds of things. But God, in His kindness, trying to teach this person, makes all these strategies just fail. So the person falls to depression because he sees that the money is not coming back. And he thinks that it's all because of him. He doesn't see God behind it. He doesn't try to see the message behind it. And such a person is going to continuously face the same challenge over and over, and sometimes in greater magnitude. He'll lose even more money, and more, until he humbles himself and realizes that it's God who's been there all along to thank him, to help him to get to this stage. So once he sees this awareness and he becomes grateful to God, suddenly this problem can go away like poof. On the other hand, if such a person doesn't do that, they may spend their entire life ignoring serious problems. Now this applies in many areas of life. It's not just in income. It could be someone who is married and his wife is constantly criticizing him, and he thinks, what a bad wife I've got. Never tries to examine what is really going on behind it. That it's God that is making his wife angry with him, and more angry, sometimes to the point where it seems unreasonable, her level of anger. Such a person has two choices: either to come closer to God and to try to develop this self-awareness on how to fix himself, or to just be blind to it and just attribute everything to external factors and not change himself. And as a result of that, just face more and more of the same problems. And we see that all the time. People who have the same exact challenges, and they're exactly the same place they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and unfortunately, in some tragic situations, they end their lives never really accomplishing anything in terms of fixing these issues. Now, this is not how we want to deal with the problem. This is not how the successful man operates. The truly successful person comes to a situation like this, knowing that there are two spiritual laws that are unbreakable. They're part of the fabric of this world. The first one is that everything that happens in this world comes from God. And so the loss of income that this person experiences, or the marital issues that this person experiences, it's God. It's nobody else. The lawsuit that they got, it's God who sent the lawsuit. The parking ticket that they got, it's God. Secondly, the successful person knows the second spiritual law, that everything that happens to us is for the best. So even this loss of income that they got, whatever problem it may be, is for the good. So what does the successful person do? And this is what I really want everyone here to walk away from this class. They go and thank God for the money I lost. Thank you, God, for this marital issue that I have. Thank you, God, for the lawsuit that I got. I know it's the best for me. And I know that this is a wake-up call for me to come to you. So God, I want to be a good person. I want to improve myself. Please give me the knowledge and wisdom to understand why these things are happening to me. Because I want to fix them. When this person is honest and really wants to change their ways, God reveals the answers. Maybe not in that first prayer, maybe not in the second prayer, but I can assure you that in due time, everything will be clarified to such a person who is trying to improve themselves. And this is again done in many ways But one of them, which is very effective, is this personal prayer, where you go talk to God about these problems. And in that session of 30 minutes or so, or longer if you have time, you'll see that things become much clearer. You develop this macro awareness of what's happening in your life. And God puts the wisdom inside of you to see exactly the problems that you have and how to approach them in a different way than you have before. As long as the person is honest with himself and God, he's going to be on the path to success out of their problems. They will not suffer. They will come out of there with a higher level of happiness and a much stronger connection to God than before they had this problem. Such a person is a real winner, all thanks to his problems. This is why you should love your problems. I know it's hard. It seems like an oxymoron to say that, but it's true. Now, imagine people who have everything going their way all the time without any problems. In the so-called normal world, people will say, wow, this is a really successful person. They have no problems. They're really lucky. But in our world of faith in God, this is actually the opposite of success. And you should really be worried if you feel that everything is always going smooth for you. When life is too easy, with no problem, what happens? A person never questions himself. A person never has a desire to fix himself and come closer to God. That person is stagnating. A person for whom everything goes smoothly will never question his life, will never have a wake-up call to pray and come closer to God. He will never get to know God and never develop that gratitude that is needed to have a life of happiness. And as we said, success is the result of coming closer to God and knowing God. Knowing God is equivalent to success. The closer to God you are, the closer you are to success. So, when things are too smooth for you, beware. This is not success. It is said that God chastises the people that he loves. That's right. God deliberately creates problems for those who he seeks to come close to him. This is how God shows his love to his children, by giving them problems that are going to bring them closer to happiness. God says, I'm going to give my son problems so that he will make an effort to look into himself, so that he will understand which way to navigate, right or left, to be on the true path to happiness. So that way he'll develop an awareness on how to go about life. This is why the people who have succeeded the most in life have had the most supposed failures. You can look at the history and find the most extraordinary people, the most righteous people, had a lot of obstacles and difficulties. Because without those difficulties, they would have never been able to propel themselves to these high spiritual levels and high levels of happiness. It is not possible. There is another spiritual law which is part of our universe. The level of achievement is equivalent to the level of effort. If you don't make an effort, you will not achieve. And of course, challenges are there to cause us to put a lot of effort into fixing ourselves. So, the more effort that you put into addressing your problems, the more you will achieve, the more you will succeed. So the conclusion here is that you can only achieve to success, and you only can get to know God through the difficulties and obstacles that you get. And it can only happen if you approach that with gratitude, by being thankful for it, by being a seeker of truth, not by being despondent, sad, and bitter about your lot in life, not by complaining and crying. This is not going to lead you anywhere except to fall further lower into sadness and depression. Now, the best way to connect to God and to work on our challenges and problems and to work on our daily issues and to be able to thank God on a daily basis is through the practice of personal prayer. This is an amazing, amazing practice that if you do it on a daily basis, I can guarantee you, you will see miracles. You will be able to change things that all your life you are unable to. In fact, the reason why I'm doing this class, and I said that I am a businessman, I have a day job, I have a family. The reason I'm doing this class is because I saw the miracles that happened to me from doing this daily practice of talking to God for 60 minutes. If you can't do 60 minutes, you can do less. But as a result of doing that, it changed my life in a profound way that I've never experienced before. In every facet, from my marital life, my relationship with children, my relationship with my friends, my relationship with family, the whole attitude that I had about life. And let's not forget the most important, my level of happiness and my closeness to God was incomparable to the life that I led before. And I looked at many places, but I've never found something so simple as going to a quiet place, whether it's a room, whether it's a forest, whether it's walking on the street when it's quiet. You can tap into this power. You can connect to God without any intermediaries, all by yourself. You don't need a manual. You don't need to have any religious level. You don't need to come in with a lot of knowledge about anything. All you need to do is open up and talk to God. Now, a lot of people have a difficulty of doing that in the beginning. And why is that? The evil inclination, that voice in the back of your head, says to you, this is absurd. What are you doing? You're talking to yourself. You're never going to change. You're so messed up. Your problems are ingrained in you. This guy here talking to you is nonsense. It might have worked for him, but it won't work for you. You're totally different. You have nothing in common with this person. That's not true. Your evil inclination wants one thing. They want you flat in a horizontal position, sleeping or lazy and depressed, and resigned to accept the realities of our sad life. This is not what you want. It's such a shame to not tap into such a simple thing as talking to God. It's so simple. Why is it that people hear about some kind of trendy new solution, some trendy new guru, or a diet, or whatever it may be, detoxing, whatever, all these things are nice, but they're not anything compared to talking to God. God is the creator. He's the only one who can change your life. None of these other things can do it. When you talk to God and you open up to them, He alone will give you the keys to success. He alone knows what you need. And if you will walk down this path, as have hundreds of thousands of people, I don't know them all, I know some, but I know my spiritual guide, Rabbi Shalom Arush, has met many of them and has even had books that tell the miraculous stories of some of them. If you pay attention to that, you will not doubt what I'm saying. So, what is this daily meeting? This daily meeting that you have with God should happen when it's quiet. It should not happen with a phone on. It should not happen with other people in the same room. It should happen when you have a peace of mind and nobody is around. What do? You take an accounting of all the good things that happened to you in the last 24 hours, and you say thank you for each one of them, or as many as you can. If you have 30 minutes, you know that you can only give a certain allocation of time to the thank yous. Then you take an accounting of all the supposed bad things that are in your life, and you say thank you for that. Then you apologize for anything that you've done wrong in the last 24 hours. Any sins you committed, any bad thoughts you had, any bad actions you took, any bad things you did to someone. Now, if this is the first time you've ever done it, I encourage you to go back in your life as further back as you can, because you have many years to catch up on. So you may want to talk about big things that you did wrong. Big things that are sitting heavy on your chest that you want to get off. The second you repent and say you're sorry and make a resolution, a real resolution, not a New Year's resolution, a resolution to change your ways, God will assist you to change that. And they will wipe that out from your mind and your heart. You'll walk out of this meeting feeling 10 pounds lighter in your heart. Because finally, you spoke about this. Now, this is going to take more than one time. It's going to take many times. But the point is the consistency. Consistency of doing it on a constant basis. Now, some people say, well, I already talked to God. I put in 5 minutes here as I go in my car. I put in 3 minutes here. When something good happens to me, I say, thank God this happened. This is not the same. What I'm talking about is focused, concentrated time devoted to speaking to God. I can give you an example. Imagine someone works out at a gym for 60 minutes. 60 minutes, they're lifting weights, they're on the treadmill, they're doing whatever it is, different repetitions, etc. Now, let's look at a person who then, in their house, does a couple push-ups for 1 minute here. 2 hours later, they do a sit-ups. And then they run from their office to the bathroom for 2 minutes. Now, who's getting the workout? Is it the person who's putting in a consistent amount of time? Let's say 30 minutes, even less. Or is it the person who's trying to fit in a couple of exercise routines in between their day? It's clear. I don't even have to give you the answer. It's almost like a rhetorical question. That the person who puts a consistent amount of time and says, I'm putting in this time just to my workout, same way. If I'm putting this time to talk to God, if I make it a priority, not trying to fit God into your daily life and say, hang on, God, I'm sorry, I got to take this phone call. Or hang on, God, I'm sorry, I got to type something, then I'll come back to our conversation. Nothing's going to happen that way. Then, of course, in the same session, you should pick one big problem, one major issue, a problem that you're trying to overcome, or let's say it's an anger issue. Let's say you have issues of bitterness against someone in your family. Maybe it's a marital problem that you're having. Pick one issue only and spend the rest of the time, besides the thanking God for all the different things and the apologizing for the various issues, spend that time just talking about that issue. You'll see that after a few encounters, suddenly that problem is unraveled. It's not this big thing that you can never solve. Suddenly God has put in the wisdom in your mind to tackle this problem in a way that you didn't see before. Because now you have a new eye in your mind. You're able to see things that you didn't see before about your problems. This is what is the beauty of this practice of personal prayer. And the more you do it, the greater the results. In the beginning, the words may not flow out. You may stand there and have nothing to say for 20 minutes. But I assure you, after a few times, the words will start flowing out. And they will start flowing out, and before you know it, you're like, wow, time's up. I can't believe it. I call this, besides spending time with my wife and family, the greatest hour of my day. I get so much joy and happiness and peace of mind from doing it. The more you do this daily practice, the happier you become, and the less prone you are to cry, complain, and to fall to sadness and self-criticism, which is what happens to a lot of people. Now, I said that tonight I wanted to introduce a new tool to add to our growing success toolbox that is so vital to our lifelong happiness and success. And as I said, this tool is so important that Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, who is the spiritual guide of Rabbi Arush, said that this tool is the one that you have to have with you always. As we know, God hates sadness and people who are complaining. At the same time, God created the evil inclination inside each of us, the voice that's in the back of your head, whose job is to put self-doubt in you, self-criticism and sadness 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at every possible opportunity. Why did God do this? Why would he do this? Why can't he just create us with just a good inclination? As we said, the only way for a person to grow and to examine themselves is by facing challenges. And what is the evil inclination? It is the greatest opponent that you'll ever encounter, and at the same time, the greatest force to push you to improve yourself. The tool that I'm talking about is called the power of finding good points. As you go through life, every day, the evil inclination is going to bombard you with messages that are there to bring you down. But you have to force yourself at every moment to judge yourself favorably and to seek the good points inside yourself, no matter how low you might feel, no matter how distant you feel from God, no matter how much sin you think you've committed, no matter what you think. And you have to find all the strength and energy inside yourself to find that good point about you. Even if your life is filled with failures, wrongdoings, and you naturally feel like being depressed about all the mistakes of your life, you have to search with total determination to find one good point about yourself. Now, we spoke about different spiritual laws. Now, this next spiritual law, you have to remember whenever you're down, that there is every person in the world has at least one good point in themselves, and probably many more. It's not possible for any human being to not even have a little bit of good. Even if you are a complete bad guy, it's impossible that you didn't do any kind of acts in your life. Some of these kind of acts you might not have even done deliberately. They just came naturally to you. It just happens that we do good deeds as human beings. We should also remember who is our Creator. God created us, who is all good. And a piece of God is in each one of us. So even if a person went to the lowest place in their life and has done unspeakable things that they can't even look in the mirror and face, even that person still has that piece of God in them, which is untainted and pure. So by using this tool of being absolutely stubborn about finding good points about yourself, you will not let yourself go down this slippery slope of sadness. So when you find yourself being bombarded by the evil inclination about how you are a failure at your career, how you're a bad husband, a bad parent, a bad son, a bad whatever, don't listen to that dialogue. Shut it down by thinking about a good point, something that you've done, whatever it may be. It can be a positive action that you did today, yesterday, a week ago, a year ago. The idea is to train your mind to always immediately jump to this tool of finding good point when you have these internal dialogues come in you. And these internal dialogues, which are self-persecution, are the greatest enemy of a person. They happen to us every day. So when you hear that, it's not the truth. You have to muster inside of you the ability to find something good about myself. Oh, well, I did something wrong to this person, but the other day I did something good to them, and I can change that. When you focus on the good points, you strengthen yourself. You literally give yourself life and vitality. You pick yourself up, and it causes you to not give up on a situation that seems hopeless. When you focus on good points in yourself, you create positive energy, and you energize yourself to try to improve yourself. I'll give you an example. Imagine a wife that is upset at her husband. He did something terrible. She decides to stonewall him and she stops talking to him. Boom. Your evil inclination jumps on the bandwagon and starts bombarding you with thoughts that your wife hates you, you're no good, she's going to leave you soon. The divorce papers are on their way. Forget about it. You're a total failure. You will live your life out alone. You'll never find anybody else. Your wife is out. Oh, hold on. What about the nice flowers I gave my wife a week ago? Or the recent dinner date that we had together where we had a heart-to-heart talk? Suddenly, you're filling your mind up with anchors to stop you from falling off the mountain. You're trying to stop the dialogue of the evil inclination. You're creating hope for yourself. So you find yourself having hope to keep going and to fix your situation with your wife instead of becoming depressed and lazy, which only leads again to more depression. Once you find one good point about yourself, definitely don't stop. You should find many more till you have a sequence of good points, till you have hundreds of good points, so that you have a strong shield against your evil inclination. And the more of this that you do, the more joy you will be overcome by. Now, life is a fight at every point. The fight against your evil inclination is a lifelong fight. And you need to constantly train yourself to see your good points and not to fall down. The objective of the evil inclination, as I said, is to put you flat out on the floor, depressed, and feeling dead to the idea that coming close to God is your solution. The evil inclination is there to convince you that this is absolutely not an option. And it will use the greatest reasoning, the greatest logic to persuade you otherwise. This is why when you do your daily prayer, personal prayer in your own words, you should pray every day for God to help you overcome the evil inclination. Because on your own, you definitely cannot defeat the evil inclination. Not only that, I have some more bad news. The evil inclination grows as you grow spiritually. As you grow closer to God, the evil inclination becomes more powerful in the same proportion. Why is that done? It's done deliberately by God, so that you will increase your efforts to come closer to God, that you will do even more than before in self-examination, in trying to fix your character traits. So in conclusion, this good points tool is a way to keep you away from sadness and to keep you happy and to keep you seeking to come closer to God, who is always good and is always waiting for you to come closer, and who wants to give you everything that you can imagine and more. When you adopt this type of strategy to life, you are guaranteed success. Guaranteed. Now, I want to take this one point further because it's really important. Life is not just about the I, it's about the others. Not only is it important to find the good points in yourself, but it's very, very vital to find good points in every person around you. When you see the good points in other people, it creates a positive energy that can influence that person to actually improve themselves. Imagine a person who is regarded by everybody else as a lowlife, a loser, someone detestable, someone who's just got no good character traits. Nobody likes them. But imagine you are the only one, because you know this teaching here of Rabbi Arush by way of Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, that it's important to judge everyone favorably. Imagine you're the only one who looks at this person and finds something good in that person. Now when you do that, something magical happens. Every hour there is a heavenly court up in the heavens that is judging our every action. And every hour they either judge you guilty or innocent. Now, they've been judging this guy every day as guilty. Suddenly comes you and says, no, this guy's done some good things. There's something about him, there's potential. Suddenly these prosecuting angels, they're saying, no, he's coming out of this judgment today, this verdict, meritorious. He's innocent. Suddenly, this person who nobody likes, nobody appreciated, feels something around you. They feel lifted. They feel that there's some kind of hope. In fact, because of that very moment, God may just decide that they're going to give this person a chance to come back to Him. And they're going to do and God is going to do everything to create the pathways for this person to repent. Can you imagine that just by thinking something positively and seeing something good about another person, you can actually help them come close to God? This is why we can't underestimate the importance of trying to train our mind to see the good points in ourselves and the good points in other people, because it's very, very natural for people to be judgmental about others. The second you meet someone, there's a dialogue in your mind, deconstructing and criticizing so many things about that person. You don't say anything, but in your mind, it's like, wow, 10 different bad points about that person. That person was just assassinated in your mind. But imagine you tell your evil inclination, sorry, I'm not interested in what you got to tell me about this guy being a bad guy. I see potential in this person. I see the goodness. I see that spark of godliness in them. And I'm going with that point. I'm going with that point because this person also deserves to come close to God. And not only that, because other people may judge me too. Who am I? I'm not a saint myself. And if I don't see the good in this person, then who will? So this is why, imagine what harm happens when you see bad points in people. What happens? The flip side happens. Suddenly, that heavenly court sees all the bad points that people see in that person, and they judge him guilty. And this person is blocked from improving their life. So, in the final sum, one must judge others favorably and find good points in them as well as good points in themselves. If we adopt this attitude and take it to heart, to practice this on a daily basis, to see the good in ourselves and the good in others, along with doing this daily personal prayer where we examine ourselves, honestly, where we show gratitude to God for the good things and the seemingly things that are not good, that we know are amazing problems that will only be good for us. When we love our problems, when we do all these things, we can bring billions of people back to God. And we can change the world forever. It sounds like an idealistic view, but it's not. I've seen it with my own eyes, people changing before me. And this is a chain reaction. So if you like what you hear and if you practice it, the greatest thing you can do is to share it with someone else so that that person can also improve themselves. That person can also spread this goodness into their life. So, please connect with us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, under our Junity Now, where you can see videos and we'll let you know about future classes. Thank you very much. And I can't wait to hear from the people out there in this class who are watching the video about what journey they took and what miracles they've witnessed, because then it validates the reason for having done this class. Thank you very much, and see you in 2 weeks.